Stuart Stroley with Sailing World Magazine. Standing next to me is Dirk de Ridder, the wing trimmer for Jimmy Spithill's AC-45 team, and also the wing trimmer for the 90 foot that won the 33rd America's Cup. Quite a warm day here in Newport. Dirk, what is your role as the team gets ready? The boats aren't quite built yet. You can't train today. So what are you doing today? What are you focusing on?
We're putting the wing together today. So it comes in a few bits out of the container. So we put it together with the shore guys. I always give it a little cleaner with window cleaner just to make sure it looks pretty, and I can check over the clisar. Because if it heats up like today in the sun and there's a tiny little rip in it, it will just keep growing because it's just plastic.
Yeah.
And then we just assemble the wing, make sure it's clean and checked and ready to go.
Now at least the 6th time you've assembled these wings, I imagine quite a bit more for you guys given the training you've done. How automatic has it become?
It's pretty quick now. We can pretty much disassemble them in about 5 hours in the container packed up, and to put them together we spread it out over 2 days, but if you have to you can put it together in 6-7 hours, no problem.
Yeah. What do you think of these wings? You've now spent quite a bit of time with them. I know initially they were, people often use the word agricultural. They weren't obviously the most technologically advanced design. In fact, they were built to be more durable. Have you come to appreciate them, or are you now looking for something more advanced?
Well, we're looking forward to the 72 wing, let's put it that way. That's a lot more advanced than these wings. And but these are perfect for what we're doing here. They're easy to fix if we break them. Let's say if you tip over. The system on the wing is simple, but it works really well. It does what it has to do. And so for the World Series, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. One of the goals with the AC-45 series was, of course, to give other teams some time with a wing sail to develop, to learn. What do you think are the things that teams have most picked up from their time sailing the AC-45? Given that you've spent so much time with the 90-foot wing, you've got a little bit more experience, but what are the things that teams would have learned during this AC World Series that they will then apply to the AC-72?
I think everybody was surprised how easy the transition was between soft sail and hard wing. That's mainly due because of the nature of this wing. It's simple. If you compare this to a C-class wing, which is like a piece of artwork, you know, the thing is really, everything twists and everything moves, and it's a lot more complicated than this wing. The thing people I think have learned is that the transition is easy, it's very effective, it's incredibly powerful, and yeah, when you get it wrong, the power goes the wrong way very quickly. So,
of course, we've seen that now. Yourself, Jimmy Spithill's team, obviously did very well starting off. You guys also won some of the last events. You're now leading the fleet racing series. Team New Zealand has been right there as well. But you know, we've seen the energy team come on. We've seen the Luna Rossa boys do quite well. What's happening out there to make this such a level playing field?
Well, the boats are one design. The only thing you're allowed to change are the sails. And if you look at the sizing and the shapes of the sails, you could almost call them one design as well. Like, everything is very similar.
And you're speaking of the jibs that you fly, and also the downwind sails, the
yes,
Gennicers,
correct.
the Code Zeros. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So it's almost one design sailing. So, and we're all good sailors, so we're pretty much all going to go the same speed, and that's what it's come down to. So the racing is really good. It's yeah, you can easily get a last place or a second last place, and winning is hard to do.
Yeah. I think when I spoke to trimmers such as yourself and a few other wing trimmers initially, they spoke about how much time you need to spend looking up the course to anticipate the wind, and how much relative to, say, an ACC boat where the main trimmer would spend their entire day looking straight at the mainsail and the telltales. On the AC-45, the wing trimmer spends much of his time looking up the course to try and anticipate shifts. Is that still the same? I mean, has this become much more about just keeping that hull just above the water?
Yeah, that's the main thing. You want to be as stable as you can be very smooth, which the wing is easier to do than a soft sail, to be smooth and coordinated with the helmsman. And the way we run the boat is that the wing trimmer also is heavily involved in the boat handling. Teams do it slightly different, but on our boat I do a lot of boat handling as well. So Jimmy actually holds the wing sheet 30 to 40% of the time as well. So
yeah, we've seen that. Now you're one of the bigger wing trimmers out there, and there is quite a size variance. Glenn Ashby is down around 160 pounds, which means I'm guessing you probably have 30, 40, 50 pounds on him.
Yeah.
Is there an advantage in having that size on the wing?
I think in the reaching and upwind conditions, it's nice to be strong. The only biggest problem with these boats is in light air, they are really stern down. And that's where my weight is not really an advantage. But on the boat handling, and that's why I think we do it slightly different than the teams with the smaller wing trimmer, is I do a lot of boat handling. So I do a lot of rope pulling, next to trimming the wing.
Right, because we've seen in light air, it's not uncommon to see John Kostecki kind of straddling the bowsprit up here and kind of going back and forth up in the front of the bow just to keep the boat trimmed bow down.
Yeah, same with me. For light air, I carry a really long main sheet, so I can be right up in the front net as well, and then Jimmy does the grinding, which he's very strong, so that's good.
So going into this competition, this is the last event of 6 in the 2011-12 America's Cup World Series. You guys are currently leading the fleet racing. What does it mean for Oracle Racing, for Oracle Team USA, and for your team as well to win this overall title?
It's hugely important. We are here to compete, and so are all the other teams. And when you compete, you're there to win. And we have had a lot of time in these boats, so have many other teams now. And we are taking it seriously, and we want to win. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Now, what about the match racing? What I find interesting is that well, you yourself and Emirates Team New Zealand have dominated the fleet racing in many respects. You know, Terry Hutchinson and Artemis Racing have done extremely well in the match racing. What are they doing maybe differently in the match racing that's allowing them to succeed so well there?
What you see over the last few events, when we started off in Cascais and Plymouth, Team New Zealand and us were pretty dominant, I think, and it's purely related to the time in the boat. Artemis got a second boat. Energy has done a lot of sailing in various other classes and racing. And what you see is, and same with Luna Rossa, they are very successful and they are capable of winning events, as they've shown. And it's just time in the boat. So, as you can see, all the teams are now, I would almost call it a level playing field. And anyone is capable of winning a race now. And it's mainly due because it's one design and everyone has spent almost equal amount of time in the boat. So you just have to perform on the day and do as best as you can do.
All right, and for the B boat for you guys, Russell will be back at the helm. He was off the boat for a regatta. He was crewing for a regatta, huffing and puffing around the course. I'm sure. I'm sure you guys gave him a little bit of flack about that.
Well, the only event I didn't do was Venice with Jimmy. I was with Darren for Venice. Yeah. It's the only event I missed on boat 4. And yeah, it was really good for Russell to do some rope pulling instead of holding a tiller. So it was very good for him to see what's going on.
How do you rate his chances back at the helm here in Newport?
Well, never write Russell off. That's the big mistake you can do. He's been training solidly over the last 10 days in San Francisco with his team, boat handling, and just get comfortable in the boat again. And we got 4 or 5 days leading up here, which he'll do very intense, as he always does. So yeah, don't write him off. We don't.
Is there any team racing on this course? I mean, with all the things you've got to think about, can you actually look around and say, oh, well, we can't tack here because we might hit our teammate?
No, I think most of the penalties we got in this whole session were from the other boat. So no, and we actually put a hole in the other boat last regatta. So no, there's no, we don't do that.
You're out for boat 4 this event.
Well, yeah, we're here to win, and it's actually quite hard to do in a multi, I think, to actually help another boat because the tech loss is so great. You know, you got to really plan a long way ahead in order to do that. So.
All right, Dirk. Well, I know people here are very excited to see this great show here in Newport with all the boats out here on Fort Adams. So, thank you for being here, and we're looking forward to the racing this year.
Yeah.
Thanks again for your time.
Beautiful.